They should be the favorites out west right now. They're the one team that's gelled coming out the gate. They've taken advantage of a friendly schedule, a home schedule, where they've been able to get out to such a great start at 10-1. But you also got to give credit to Steve Kerr and the Warriors staff and player development for this great start. We know the superstars. We know Clay's going to come back hopefully great. We know what Draymond's going to bring in Steph. But the development of Jordan Poole, the continuance of Andrew Wiggins finding his way and now playing at the level that we thought he could play at with this group is terrific. And then you got to also think about the Damon Lees and then the veteran pickups and Andre Iguodala and Otto Porter Jr.
Yep.
And then Gary Payton II has been terrific for this group coming off the bench defensively, add some excitement, allowing Steph to rest a little longer. And the defense has been great, something that's very surprising. They've been defending at a very, very high level. So this team is very surprising. They're going to only get better when these two guys come back, when Clay and Wiseman come back. So I'm very surprised. They are the favorites right now. And this team reminds me, if you really look at this, and I don't want to really compare it, but it reminds me the way they shoot the basketball and pass it of the great teams that they had when they won those 3 championships. They're averaging 15, 16 threes a game as a team. They also averaging close to 30 assists as a team. So everything is falling in place for them, but you've got to get Steve Kerr and the coaching staff and player development the Golden State Warriors a lot of credit so far because they didn't make a huge move. They didn't make any trades. They didn't trade their draft picks. They just forced guys to get better over the summer.
Antoine, I'm shocked by this, not just the record, because you mentioned the schedule. They played Houston. They played a couple against OKC. They played Sacramento. They have some softer part of their schedule early. But the eye test, the metrics, all of it says this team is very for real. And Antoine, the discussion last year surrounding this team, let's remember, it was like, man, Steph Curry is playing like an MVP. Maybe he should be the MVP. And they might not make the playoffs, right? In fact, they didn't make the playoffs. They lost both their play-in games. They were on the outside looking in. The discussion surrounding this team last season was, should Steph consider going elsewhere if he wants to compete for championships? That wasn't some like hot take discussion. That was a real discussion that was had. And now thus far through, an eighth of the season, they look like the best team in basketball. And here is what, to me, is so promising for Golden State, Antoine. It's not just that they have Clay coming back. They have a move to make if they want to make it. Kuminga and Moody, their 2 lottery picks from this year, are doing nothing for them. And that's not a shot on them. They're 18 and 19 years old on a good team. They're not supposed to be doing anything. But those are valuable assets. Wiseman hadn't played. He's doing nothing for them thus far this year. That's a top 3 pick. Valuable asset. If they want to really supercharge this thing, Antoine, at the deadline and pick up another piece, this team could be even better, in addition to the fact that they will get the biggest infusion of talent that any team will get during the year once Klay Thompson gets back, even if Klay is only 75% of what he once was. So I'm incredibly impressed by Jordan Poole. While I miss Bruce Sarden, I'm glad he'll be back next week. I'm not so upset he's not here today because the Andrew Wiggins I'd have to deal with. But I'm impressed by what Andrew Wiggins has done, Antoine. And, I'm always impressed by Steph. So considering, Antoine, where they were kind of narratively a few months ago, I'm shocked by this.
Yeah, it's surprising. I'll be the first to admit that. I thought if Golden State probably came in and was like, let's try to see if we can hold the fort down until Clay and Wiseman came back. But they're really, really good. And I can't get over how I always talk about teams, and we always talk about teams have to make these moves and have to bring in these different players. But the commitment to when Jordan Poole getting better over the summer, Lee, then Gary Payton second, obviously finding him and developing him. We know he spent a bunch of time in the G League. You got to give Golden State a lot of credit. You got to give their player personnel and Steve Kerr a lot of credit and his coaching staff because they developed this team into a really, really good team. And what they're doing defensively is even more impressive.
So, Antoine, I want to dig in on Payton and Poole and then show you a highlight that I think is more than a highlight and get your reaction on it, because you mentioned the value of having Andre Iguodala there. So first, Payton and Poole. So Gary Payton II, we know, as you mentioned, was in the G League. He's not just playing okay, he's not playing good, he's not playing great. He has the best plus-minus of any player in the league the month of November. Jordan Poole, as you mentioned, Antoine, he's developed. He went from less than 9 points a game to 12 points a game to almost 18 points a game. So can you just tell me on, like, when you watch a game through your sort of veteran eyes, are there things that jump out about the Warriors' style of play that makes you think, oh, this team is really humming, has a lot of chemistry?
Yeah, a couple things. Obviously, their ability to pass the basketball. When you think of 30 assists a game from a team, they got 4 or 5 guys that's average double figures, as well as another 3-4 guys that's averaging 7-8 points. I think that's impressive. That shows team continuity. That shows a group that's together, that's willing to share the basketball. But this infusion of youth that they've got has really covered up, Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala's probably ability to score the basketball. They got other guys now that's stepping in and doing that. So you're allowing Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala, Otto Porter Jr., these guys to be veterans and not rely on them to have to give you 30 great minutes. They can play good for 15, 20 minutes now because your young guys are now developing into really good players. So they're the surprise, and I'll be shocked if they're not making a deep run when they get healthy. They're going to make a really deep run in the Western Conference.
Wilds, that's a great job by Wilds and our production staff keying on that play. Can we show it again? Because it does demonstrate all the things that right now are making the Warriors special. The first thing is the gravity of Steph. And that has always been the key to this special Warriors run, is that he draws his man away from the basket, even though he's not even in a shooting posture. And then the other defender thinks a pick and roll's coming. He's got to be up over the top of it because you're so afraid of Steph. So now you instantly have a pseudo 4-on-3 if you want it. Then Iguodala, who's back. Listen, Iggy is limited in a lot of ways, but he'll never be a limited passer. He'll never be limited IQ-wise. So you have Steph draw, the gravity of the defense. You have Iggy, who's always going to make the smart play. And then to Antoine's point, unlike necessarily the last couple of years, you got a young guy with springy legs who's like, I can finish that. And so I know people have thought of me as, a Warriors critic over the years. We're honest about what we see. This team, and their best aspect right now is their defense. Now, Draymond got hurt last night. It's a thigh contusion. He'll miss some time. And my guess is you almost have to bake in some Iguodala miss time. So some of this stuff will regress. But with Klay coming back and with Jenna, their ability, if they want to package those lottery picks from the last few years for a really good addition, this team's got to be one of the scariest teams, probably the scariest team through.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.